Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Super Mario Fan 85. In this video I'm going to do a retrospective and review on Super Paper Mario for the Wii. Super Paper Mario is the sequel to Paper Mario and Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door. It was released on April 9th of 2007 on the Wii. It was originally meant to be released on the GameCube, but that got changed to the Wii. This game is a RPG and platformer hybrid. Unlike the first two games where you had turn-based combat, in this game the fights and battles are in real time. And also this game, unlike the first two games, instead of having an open 3D overworld, this game is a side scroller. Also, while I appreciate them trying something different, I think it would have been better if this game had kept the turn-based battles and the 3D overworld that the first two games had. I think that if the gameplay of this game had been more like the first two Paper Mario games and with the really good story that this game has, I think it would have been even better. I think if this game had kept the 3D overworld from the first two games, they still could have had one or two chapters in this game be a 2D side scroller, since in this game the characters were traveling through different dimensions, and that could have been a cool throwback to the older Mario games that were 2D side scrollers. Also in this game, you have the ability to flip between 2D and 3D, and one of the producers got this idea when he was riding on a train. However, you can only be in 3D for a limited amount of time, and when you run out of time, you start getting damaged, so you have to go back to 2D. Players can find things while in 3D mode that are invisible while in 2D. Also in this game, you also get to play as Princess Peach, Bowser, and Luigi in addition to Mario. So I like this, getting to play those other three characters as well. Of course, in the first game, players got to play Princess Peach in between chapters, and then the second game, they got to play Peach and Bowser in between chapters. But like I just said before, in this game, they get to play Princess Peach, Bowser, and Luigi in addition to Mario. So I did like that part of the game. Also, instead of having partners in a party like the first two Paper Mario games, in this game you get these throughout the game you meet and get these fairy like creatures called pixels, which they have different abilities. So, like, one you can use to throw with, another one acts like a hammer. Next, I want to talk about the story of this game. I really enjoyed the story of this game, and I've talked about some of that in a previous video, my Why I Love Count Bleck's Story video. I think the story was really good in this game, and I'm going to give a summary of the story, and also I will be talking spoilers from this game. So anyway, this game, it starts off at the Mario Brothers house, and Mario and Luigi, they decide to go visit Princess Peach at her castle, and as they're leaving to go there, Toad stops them and tells them that Princess Peach had been kidnapped again, and of course they suspect it's Bowser again since he's kidnapped Princess Peach so many times. So anyway, they head to Bowser's castle, but when they get to Bowser's castle, they realize that Bowser wasn't the one who had kidnapped Princess Peach, as he was only just preparing to launch his attack on Peach's castle. And then a new villain named Count Bleck shows up and reveals he's the one who kidnapped Princess Peach. And he also reveals that he's the executor of a dark and prophetic book called the Dark Prognosticus, and that he wants to fulfill a prophecy in it to end all worlds. And anyway, to do this, he needed Princess Peach, but he also says that he will take Bowser as well. And anyway, Mario tries to attack him, but he's defeated by Bleck and knocked out, and then Count Bleck kidnaps Bowser, as well as all of Bowser's troops that are there, and Luigi. So anyway, after that, at Count Bleck's castle, Count Bleck forces Bowser and Princess Peach to marry each other because the Dark Prognosticus says that when such a thing happens, That is, as the Dark Prognosticus says, a union between a princess pure of heart and a ferocious evil king. That it will create this thing called the Chaos Heart, which will cause this thing called the Void, which is this black hole like thing, which will then consume literally everything and eventually destroy all existence. And this is the prophecy that Count Bleck wants to fulfill and have come to pass. So anyway, he forces them to get married. Of course, Bowser, he goes along with it, but Peach refuses. So Count Bleck's assistant and right-hand woman, Nastasia, uses her hypnosis to make Princess Peach agree to marry Bowser. And then the Chaos Heart appears. And at this point, Luigi, Luigi wakes up and he's over in the audience of Bowser's troops that are there. And anyway, he tries to stop Bleck, but he's too late. Then the scene cuts to Count Bleck with Nastasia. Bleck speaks to the Chaos Heart and tells it to begin the destruction of all worlds. Anyways, meanwhile, back at Bowser's castle, Mario, who's still there, and he had been knocked out after being defeated by Bleck. Anyway, Mario wakes up or is woken up by a pixel named Tippy, who asked him if Count Bleck had kidnapped Peach and Bowser. Anyway, so Tippy then takes Mario with her to this town called Flipside, which is in another dimension from the Mushroom Kingdom. And there she introduced him to Merlon, who's a wizard. They also see the void in the sky, which looks like a black hole, and Merlon explains that eventually the void will consume everything, all worlds, all dimensions, and that it was created by Count Bleck, who wants to fulfill the prophecy in the Dark Prognosticus that foretells this. And he tells Mario about the Light Prognosticus, which was created to counteract the Dark Prognosticus, and it tells of a hero who will stop the universe or the multiverse from being destroyed. And he says, of course, that Mario meets the description of this hero: red hat, blue overalls. And of course, he gives Mario the choice to agree to this or not. And of course, if you say no, you'll get a game over. But of course, Mario says yes. And anyway, and Merlin says to stop Count Bleck, that one must collect 8 pure hearts, because that's the only thing that will counteract the Chaos Heart. And Merlin has one, which he gives to Mario. So anyway, Mario, he goes on this adventure to collect 8 pure hearts. And eventually Peach and Bowser join his party, and also later they come across a foe named Mr. L, who is actually Luigi, who is brainwashed by Count Bleck and turned into a villain. Of course, Mario defeats him on 2 occasions, and then later he's returned into the normal, and late in the game he's returned to normal and joins Mario's party. But anyway, later in the game, also I do want to mention, during the game, in between each chapter, there's a story that's told about 2 people who fall in love, Lumiere and Timpani, but their romance ends in tragedy, as Lumiere's father doesn't approve of their romance because they're from 2 different tribes, and he banishes Timpani, and it seems that, or it appears that she appears to have been lost. Anyway, as the story continues to unfold throughout the game, it's revealed that Count Bleck is Blumiere, and that Tippy is Timpani, and that this story being told between chapters is actually flashbacks telling the story of how Blumiere became Count Bleck, and that the reason why he wants to destroy the universe is because he thought he had lost Timpani forever, and he was devastated by this, so he turned to the Dark Prognosticus. And since he felt that a world or universe without her no longer had any meaning, that he should destroy it. And anyway, and then there's a scene later in the game where Tippy meets Count Bleck again, and she doesn't realize who he really is at first. He does seem familiar to her, and then her memories start coming back, and she realizes that she figures out who he really is, that he is her old love Lumiere. So anyway, at the end of the game, after all the pure hearts have been collected, Mario and his friends go to Count Bleck's castle to confront him, and at the end of that chapter, they confront Count Bleck and fight him, and Mario defeats Count Bleck. And before this, the pure hearts were able to negate the Chaos Heart, which was protecting Bleck. But anyway, it turns out that one of Bleck's minions, Dimentio, who had been secretly helping Mario and his friends and playing both sides, and it turns out that he is the true evil character in the game, and that he wanted to take control of the Chaos Heart himself and destroy the universe, but then create a new one where he would be like a god over it, and it'd be in his image. Anyway, but he knew he couldn't defeat Count Bleck on his own, so he used Mario and his friends to do that. So anyway, he had previously planted this sprout-like thing on Luigi's head, which he uses to brainwash him again and make him turn into Mr. L, and Dimentio merges with Mr. L, and they become Super Dimentio, and he sends Count Bleck and Anastasia to another dimension. But anyway, Count Bleck and Tippy, their love for each other, and Count Bleck's minions' love for him, that causes the pure hearts to be restored, which Dimentio did not know that this could be done, that once they could only be used once and you couldn't use them again. And they're then used against Super Dimentio, so you have to fight Super Dimentio, and of course Mario defeats him. But however, Dimentio and Luigi, of course, he's returned to normal. But it's revealed that Dimentio, and he left enough of his power behind to finish destroying the multiverse. And anyway, the only way to counteract is to have two people who truly love each other, which of course turns out to be Count Bleck and Tippy. So anyway, they go to the wedding chapel where Bleck had forced Bowser and Peach to marry at the beginning of the game. And Count Bleck, or Lumiere, and Tippy, they restate their vows to each other. And of course this causes the pure hearts to negate the Chaos Heart. And then they go away to a place that they could truly be happy together, and that Lumiere had long ago promised Tippy. So anyway, this saves the multiverse and even brings back one world that had been destroyed. And also I like the bookend of the scene, the wedding chapel at the beginning of the game and the one at the end of the game, where the one at the beginning of the game is two people who really don't love each other or being forced to marry each other, and this causes the Chaos Heart. But at the end of the game is two people who truly love each other, like stating their vows to each other. And of course this ends up negating the Chaos Heart, so I like the bookending of that here. Anyway, so like I said before, I really like the story. I think it's probably the best story in the Paper Mario games. Also, I like this game, like the Thousand Year Door, had a original story and also a really good story as well, so I like that about this game. Next, I want to talk about the characters. Of course, again, Mario is the main character. He's, of course, like the other games, he's good and heroic. And of course, in this one, he's also the hero prophesized in the Light Prognosticus that destined or foretold to stop the destruction of all worlds. I mean, he was also in the Light Prognosticus referred to as the legendary hero. And then next we have Princess Peach, and like I said before, how Princess Peach is playable in this game. And also the Light Prognosticus refers, in addition to the main hero, three other heroes that would stop the destruction of all worlds. So in total, 4 heroes. The next hero is actually Bowser. Bowser agrees to join Mario in this one because he says if he doesn't, and Count Bleck ends the world, that he won't have a world to rule. So to me, it was interesting seeing Bowser be a good guy in this game, as well as team up with Mario. I also like that Bowser was playable in this game as well. The next character I want to talk about is Luigi. After Peach and Bowser's wedding, Luigi is captured, and later brainwashed into becoming Mr. L, who becomes a minion and henchman of Count Black. And you fight him a couple of times during the game. So to me, it was interesting to see, Luigi as a villain in this game. And of course, later in the game, he goes back to being Luigi again, and he's becomes playable like Peach and Bowser before him. So I like that Luigi was finally playable in this game. And of course, like I mentioned before, at the end of the game, Dimentio later he brainwashes Luigi into becoming Mr. L again, and they merge to become Super Dimentio. But then at the end of the game, after Dimentio's defeat, Luigi's returned to normal. The next character I'll talk about is Count Black. Count Black is the main villain of this game, and the current owner of the Dark Prognosticus. I think Count Black was a good villain in this game, and I like the twist that he was a tragic villain. At first, he just seems to be like another evil overlord type villain, but like I said, I like the twist at him being a tragic villain. And also, most of the story in this game is about him, how and why he became a villain, and later his redemption. Also, next is Nastasia, who is Count Black's second command and right-hand woman. Nastasia has the ability of hypnosis. She's able to brainwash people, and I believe she was the one to originally brainwash Luigi into becoming Mr. L for Count Black. Also, Nastasia also had a crush on Count Black, but of course, Count Black's heart only belonged to one person, which was Tippy, of course. Next, I'll talk about Dimentio. Dimentio was one of Count Black's minions and a jester. However, later it turned out that he was in both sides for his own ends, and it also turns out that he's the true evil villain in this game. He is later revealed to be truly evil and sadistic, where Count Black only turned evil out of despair and heartbreak. Next, I'll talk about Tippy. Tippy was a pixel, and she had the ability to tattle on enemies. In this game, she has a similar row to what Goombario and Goombella had in the first two Paper Mario games. Later in this game, it's revealed that Tippy was once a human woman named Lady Timpani, who of course fell in love with Lord Blumiere. Then at the end of this game, she and Blumiere were reunited. Overall, I think this game was good. I think this game has the best story of the first three Paper Mario games. Though I would say gameplay-wise, I'd say the first two games are better than this one, but I still think this one is good. Overall, I would give this game around a 7.5 or 8 out of 10. Anyways, please let me know what y'all think of Super Paper Mario in the comments below. Thank you all for watching my video, and y'all have a great day.